Philosophy is the most important subject in school, whether you're talking about pragmatism, determinism, Calvinism, Martin Luther, Lutheranism, um, Protestantism, or the ancients, Neoplatonism, Plato, Pythagoreanism, um, Socratic schools of thought, on and on. There's a lot of them, regardless of what you're talking about in philosophy. It is relevant to the direction of mankind now. Freemasonry is about universal brotherhood, but has been tainted by the occult paganism, Satanism, hegemony, Western imperialism, and ironically elitism, when Pythagoras himself is said to have been against elitism, which is quite a doozy. So let me start off by saying, well, what I just said to you is the moral of this video. We start off by saying naturally people conspire or scheme together to help the group they identify with out, whether it's religious, whether it's ethnic group, what have you, philosophical. The Jews tend to be the best at conspiracy because they arguably have been part of a global conspiracy for the longest, having crypto Jews in strategic locations, being persecuted, facing genocide or slaughter, what have you, forcing them to do things in secret to survive, or to come to the logical conclusion to do things in secret to survive. And they saw how effective it is, and they never abandoned that way. So the things that people complain about when it comes to a Jewish conspiracy is the things that naturally people do in pretty much almost every group there is part of some sort of a scheme, plot, or conspiracy. But the Jews, for these reasons I've just mentioned, do it the best, and perhaps not by far. You see, what God wants is what's right. Everything else is subjective. Whose God is right, whose version of what God wants is right, is the real question. And the answer I want you to come to, and the answer that I believe is correct, is that Christianity with a militant twist, or Islam, which is basically Christianity with a militant twist and an added prophet with slight differences in lifestyle, giving to the poor, pilgrimage to Mecca, praying 5 times a day, declaring that Muhammad is the last prophet or true prophet of Allah, and a few other, small adjustments, is correct. This is why I'm a Christian who is converting to Islam and has been doing so for quite some time, and making sure I'm absolutely correct before I finally go to a mosque and get my Shabada or my ritual declaration of Muhammad's prophethood. So yes, I am plotting to set things right. I'm doing it in open, up for criticism, up for debate. No one has ever proven me wrong. No one's ever come close to it. Instead, they're trying to sabotage me, which shows me that I must certainly be right. And I've been saying this for quite some time. I said, debate me, prove me wrong. Prove I'm not the top martial artist, on a different note. Prove that I'm wrong about my philosophy. Prove my videos wrong. They couldn't do it. They couldn't prove a single key point that I haven't retracted myself, which is, you can count them on both hands, count them on one hand, out of 3,000 videos. They couldn't do it. Instead, they're sabotaging me. Just today, I went to the park, a car pulls up, and everyone knows there's cell phone jammers, signal jammers, and all of a sudden, it didn't let me upload it, What takes 1 or 2 minutes was taking, 50, 60 minutes. And I walk down the street, magically it lets me upload both videos. Both of them on Western philosophy. So, continuing with this is from my notes I'm referencing. I actually brainstormed before this video. I'd say about 15-20% of my videos I brainstorm to myself before I make them. The rest, I'm just inspired by an article, or I've been researching for a while, and I say, you know what, it's time to make a video about this stuff, for many reasons. Keep what's fresh in my brain, and make sure I cover it, etc., etc. So anyway, Universal brotherhood, Freemasonry, what is best for man, common ground. Um, these are things that the New Age movement and Freemasonry stress, and they include Western principles of Western philosophy about what to do. You see, Freemasonry is tainted with Western imperialism, hegemony, occultism, secret plotting, and Satanism. This is obvious. This is not just me throwing that out there. If you look at the secret doctrine of Freemasonry, you read Pike. I believe Morals and Dogma. Morals and Dogma was not a book that was meant to get out there. It was, I believe, it was given to master masons or only people of the Scottish Rite, and it's obvious that that's the case, and not just a claim of quote unquote conspiracy theorists. Because in the book it says brothers of the 33rd degree. I believe this book. It says that, and it says only repeat this to the brothers of the 32nd and 33rd degree. Don't tell the rest of the Masons. It's the ultimate secret doctrine. Masonry is about compartmentalization, compartmentalizing people. So once you understand Freemasonry and the Illuminati, this becomes quite clear that there is a secret agenda behind what seems to be a reasonable idea. But ultimately, Satanists can find common ground with Christians. Finding common ground is not necessarily a good idea, and certainly not a good idea when you consider that what I said before, only God is right. Only what God wants is right. Everything else is subjective. So I'd like you all to consider everything I've just said in this video. Consider it well. If you got lost, start the video over. It's fairly clear what I'm saying and what I'm getting at. And I'm going to end by saying this. Western philosophy is the most important subject in school for you to understand what is wrong. And then, if you want to start looking into conspiracy, look into the history of Jews, the history of secret societies, the history of Western philosophy, and then go from there. Thank you.